This here, in my opinion, is the best bluffing game ever. It's a cool party game. You can play from 3 to 6 players. You'll play in 15 to 45 minutes because, you know, if you're goofing around and having a good time, it'll last a while. I was first introduced to this game in England. I went to England many times, and I don't know, 15 years ago, almost maybe 20 years ago, I walked into a bookstore and I saw this game, but it was called Skull and Rose, or Skull and Roses, and this one's now called Skull. It's the same game. It comes with these cool, I guess, beer mat, coasters, little coasters. 3 of them will have a rose or a flower on one side, and one will have a skull. I'll explain that in just a second. But first, let me read a little bit of the origin of this game, which I find interesting. Hopefully you'll find it interesting too. Okay? Here we go. This is I was about to read the French. Extrait du journal des Beaux de José Arrière-Grand-Père Ventre de la Tour. My French's not very good, as you can probably tell. All right, so here we go. An excerpt from the Journal of Joseph, the author's adventuring great-grandfather. How neat is that? August 12th, 1921. We finally reached the port of San Francisco, the last leg of our trip around the world. Our souls enriched by the encounters we've had, and our hold filled with the wonderful gifts offered by the people who have welcomed us. Among these relics is a surprising collection of flowers, with a heady perfume accompanied by beautifully decorated skulls. Let me show you the skull. Probably one of these. Used for the worship of ancestors. During our travels, their fascinating presence has opened my mind, which is sometimes overly rational, to the rules of a captivating traditional game, the game of skulls. A surprising mix of bluff and strategy in which it is said that whoever disturbs the rest of the ancestors by revealing their skulls will immediately lose one of their lives. Because that's what happens in this game, right? You're going to be putting these coasters face down, and somebody's going to make a bid that they can turn over a certain amount of coasters without turning over a skull. If you make a bid and you turn over a skull, you're going to lose one of your coasters. If you lose them all, you lose the game. You're going to have this main board here. If you succeed, let's say I make a bid of, I say, look, on my turn, I'm going to turn over 2 coasters. And everybody passes, because somebody after you can say, I'll turn over 3. So anyway, if you're playing a 4-player game, let's say I turn over 2 coasters and everybody passes, I have to turn my coasters over first, okay? Because in the beginning, let me go back. In the beginning of the game, you're going to be putting one of your coasters face down on this mat here, right, on your little board, okay? You're going to be putting, so once everybody's put one of their little coasters face down, then the bidding can begin. So let's say it comes back to me and we're playing a 4-player game and I say, I'm going to turn over 2 coasters. If everybody passes, I have to turn my coaster over first. Okay? So I turn it over, and I would never do that. Because, if you turn over a skull, you're going to lose one of your coasters. If you lose them all, you're out of the game. If you manage to win your bid twice, the first time you win your bid, you turn this over. That means you have a point, essentially. And if you do it again and turn this over again, you win the game. If you manage to succeed in your bid twice in a row, you win. So in the beginning of my turn, everybody's turn, you put one coaster face down, and then let's say I bid. I say I can turn over 2 of them, and nobody challenges me or raises me, because somebody could easily say, I'll turn over 3. Anyway, I have to turn mine over first. Okay, so it's a rose. It's a flower. Now I have to turn one of my opponent's coasters. If it's another rows, okay, let's say this opponent here, well, that's a skull. Let's say I turn over the skull. Well, I lose one of my coasters. Whoever had the skull that I flipped over, I'm going to mix my coasters, and they're going to take one away, and that means I've lost one. Now I'm only working with 3 of them. But if I turn over a flower, so that means I managed to succeed in my bid. I get my little coaster, I flip it over the other way. That means I get 1 more point, I win the game. So anyway, let me finish here with this. So this is a surprising mix of bluff and strategy, in which it is said that whoever disturbs the rest of the ancestors by revealing their skulls will immediately lose one of their lives. That's you'll lose one of your coasters. Impelled by a mysterious force, I've immediately represented these skulls and flowers on a series of cardboard cards, then transcribed the rules. We've practiced the game quite a lot and have discovered with delight all of the subtleties which were required to become the winner. There's a lot of subtleties in this game, okay? And you'll realize that. It's a lot of fun. It's a lot of fun. You have to try it. This is an introduction to this game, and you have to try it. If you like fun games, if you like party games, bluffing games, this is just such a blast to play with your family and friends. I mean, it's so cool. So now there's a little note here on the bottom that says, from the port, the use of this game spread like wildfire among all the adventurers on the West Coast. A few years ago, the game was rediscovered by some biker gangs and renamed Skull and Rose. And that's what the original name of this was. Now it's just called Skull. As homage to the author's adventurous ancestor, here's a new edition inspired by the strange beauty of the original game. It's a cool manual. Everything, is there for you, so it's not going to be complicated. You have different colors. You have purple. You can play up to 6 players. So you have purple. You have red. It's quite cool, right? All the skulls are a little different. All the flowers are different too. You have yellow here, or a brownish yellow, right? The pad is actually yellow, your main board. You have green, right? And I guess that's it, right? I showed you the purple, I showed you the blue, here's the pink. This is a cool game. So again, you're going to have 4 of these coasters. You're going to mix them up. You're going to put one down on your board. When everybody's done that, you can choose to put a second one down on top of that first one. But at some point, somebody's going to make a bid. Okay, they're going to say, I can turn over 3 coasters. If everybody passes, that individual has to begin by turning over their coasters first. And then they can begin to see which of their opponent's coasters they're going to flip. Okay? And if you manage to succeed in your bid, then, like I said earlier, you take your board and you flip it over. That means you've essentially won 1 point. And if you do that twice, if you succeed in your bid twice, you win. But this is much trickier than you would imagine. Because, for instance, let me give you a quick for instance here. On my turn, the beginning of the game, I might decide to put my skull down first. Okay, that's sneaky. But I'll tell you what's even sneakier. When I put my skull down first, when it comes back to my turn where I have the choice of either putting another coaster on top or making a bid, I decide at that point to make a bid. But wait a minute, I put a skull. I'm going to make a bid. I have to turn my coaster over first. If I turn over a skull, I lose one of my coasters, right? I don't want to do that. But it's just tricky because I say I can turn over 2. I'm hoping that one of my opponents, and if you're playing with your friends, you know your friends, right? You know your family, you know your friends. You may trick them because they'll think, well, if he made an initial bid, everybody would have passed and he would have had to turn over his coaster first. So most likely he put down a flower, not a skull. So somebody might want to outbid you and say, I'll turn over 3. And then when they turn yours over, kapow, they got a skull. They lose one of their coasters. There's a lot of little details to this game, not in how to play the game, but in how to be sneaky, within the process of playing this game. Try it out, take a crack at it. Skull, the best bluffing game ever. Tremendous amount of fun. I've loved playing this game for a very, very long time. A very long time. And this is just a brief introduction for you, so go check it out. Go get one. Go get one. Go get one. Skull.